Hey everybody, welcome back to the Overwatch Project. It's February 5th, 2025, and let me just start off by saying that we all, as humans, as consciousness incarnated into humans, have something like a mental firewall that once our consciousness is reduced down to the human form, we become literally our own tricksters. Psychologists come up with all these fancy terms: cognitive dissonance, cognitive biases, but it's basically any information that counters what we have been programmed, or we've programmed ourselves to believe, is automatically blocked unless a person has the will and puts in the effort to stop tricking themselves. And that's what it all comes down to. And recently, this stuff with the final experiment has popped up on the internet, the trip to Antarctica, and I had to make a video of it because, believe it or not, I suggested this whole thing almost a decade ago. So, just to catch up to speed real quick, I run the Overwatch Project. Website is overwatchproject.com. which you can find right there at overwatchproject.com, and everything that you'd want to know that I've collected over the over a decade of just me doing my YouTube channel alone, plus another decade before that of doing all kinds of research, trying to figure out the meaning of life, what happens in the afterlife, what, if any, spiritual beliefs are closer to the truth, reincarnation, and basically what it all boils down to is that we are participating in essentially a reincarnation soul farm. That we get amnesia when we come here. It's not really a learning process. It is a exploitive, parasitic environment, and we become addicted to it in a way, and we keep coming back here over and over again, and there's billions of souls here on Earth in the material realm, and in its surrounding astral planes there's probably trillions more. And this is a thing that most people do not want to know about. They reject it, and one of the ways that the system is so well diabolically engineered is how this human persona container works. So when consciousness, which is what we are, formless consciousness, pure mind, when we, of course, spawn into existence whenever that happens in this infinity universe where we are ourselves infinite, immortal beings, we may have access to all the knowledge available about everything, but we also kind of have no experience. And so I think consciousness kind of seeks experience, so it was very easy to set up something like a Loosh farm. And if you ask me what Loosh is, I would say possibly it is a way for souls or consciousness that does not want to incarnate anymore to experience the rush of a place like this without the suffering. Maybe that's what it is. But I've talked a lot about how diabolically our brain is designed. When we incarnate as humans, our consciousness is severely reduced down to a very pathetic, unbelievably othetic level. It's beyond pathetic. And because we exist in this reduced awareness, we forget who we are, forget what we are, and we become ignorant. And we also have this physical brain, which is like a processor for our consciousness, and it is designed to process our consciousness in a certain way so that we enslave ourselves here. And when you become aware of this, of course, you can break free. But most people choose to remain oblivious, and it's by choice. And the information has always been out there in one way or another, whether or not it was the ancient Cathars that figured it out, or the Gnostics, or how the Sumerians wrote about their mythologies, and probably long before that. And in this crazy world that we live in, this crazy, psychopathic, parasitic earth realm, we have the ability to learn about our reality, but one of the things that really is amazing is these mental firewalls. So we have things like psychologists have called like cognitive dissonance and stuff like that. And there's a whole list of biases. I've done many other videos about this, so you can look those up if you want. But the cognitive filters cause us to be essentially our own tricksters. In the world that we live in, there is, let me go back to the screen here. The trickster deity or being is kind of like a universal concept. But in mythologies, and perhaps they exist as thought forms or actual beings, consciousness, non-physical beings, these trickster gods really kind of get a bad rap, because really when you read about them, they do mischievous things, and sometimes they do really bad things, but other times they seem to interact in a way to try to teach us with trickery. Well, that's one form of a trickster, but I'm going to tell you that in reality, the best trickster, and you have one with you, just go look in the mirror. Okay, humans are the best tricksters. We use all these mental firewalls to basically not process information correctly, and we believe all kinds of nonsense. And we get so sidetracked and so caught up in these like mazes that we really can't see reality for what it actually is. So yeah, that's why we're so split up and divided, and just everything here is absolute chaos. And when you think about we being our own trickster god to ourselves, it is interesting because, when I broke my cognitive dissonance, or started to deal with it, like 10 or so years ago, maybe 11 years ago, it was because when I first started my channel, I was being sidetracked by what I had been indoctrinated in, which was Christianity. I hate to go through this again with people that have already know this story, but it's kind of important, because I feel this video is going to trigger some people out there that have a certain belief, and there's nothing I can do about it. I don't do my YouTube channel for a living. I'm genuinely out here to give you my conclusions after many, many decades of research that are based on totality information that tries to, I try to control my cognitive filters and biases so that I can really just give out the truth. Now, one of the things that happens when your world implodes, like it did with me when I realized that Christianity was bullshit, and when I started finished analyzing the Bible 4 times over, is the kind of like unmoored feeling you get when your reality crumbles. Like if an atheist loses their atheism or materialism, and if a religious person loses their religion or whatever, they become kind of like somebody who fell in water, and they're just kind of like splashing around out of control. And it's this instinctual need to feel like you're anchored to something that makes them latch on to the next bullshit. And it's really amazing because, you get like atheists that become devout Christians. You get devout Christians that become atheists. But nobody stops to think that, hey, all these freaking official beliefdoms out there, if the one I had been clinging to is false, then how do I know that other ones aren't false also. Maybe I should analyze everything before I jump on board something. Luckily for me, that's what I did. But one of the things that, would sidetrack me when I first got unmoored or was all over the place was all these different views of our reality realm here. What is Earth? Where are we? What is this universe? And after many, many sidetracks and getting caught up in all these people's, so many people out there peddling basically bullshit that sounds good. That's one way of putting it. Bullshit that sounds good unless you do some real research into it. And one of the things that eventually I concluded is that our reality here is a very dense reality that is created by consciousness. It has certain rules, and the closest thing I think that you could describe it as is a holographic universe. And the best way to understand it, especially if you game, is if you have like a gaming console, like a PlayStation or Xbox, or if you game on your PC, it is the reality is what we're experiencing through our senses, which is sort of like we're plugged into our avatar in a game, sort of. And a hologram, a holographic model of a reality, can be, mathematically programmed to be as big as you want it to be. So if you want to plug in infinity, it can be an infinite universe. And we can see that in video games like No Man's Sky and other video games that like Elite Dangerous, where you have massive galactic or universal size space and planets and all this other stuff. Yet you know that you're actually just playing a video game there. But here we don't see it. We experience everything so real that, the suffering is real, the pain is real, the limitations that we have to overcome are very real. And so a holographic but reality with very dense rules. And then you have the astral planes of Earth, and it's every planet or every location in this universe has its own astral environment, and the Earth astral is an extension of the reincarnation soul trap, which this planet was basically made or constructed. For all I know, maybe the entire universe is just part of this whole Lush garden. I'm not sure, but Earth is definitely a Lush garden, or a thing where souls or individual conscious beings can incarnate into, and then once they incarnate there, they have amnesia. They go through cycle after cycle of wanting to come back here. Because once you become detached in the astral plane, it's very easy to forget the suffering, or you become more intellectual and less emotionally connected to the suffering, and it makes it easier to go back. And it's a very clever system. It's very, very ingenious what they've done. And one of the things that I got sidetracked on many years ago was this whole like space doesn't exist. And I know this is going to piss off a lot of people, but really, if you have a holographic universe, you can have holographic space, you can have holographic planets and moons, you can have a holographic galaxy, you can have all of this stuff. I think the best drawn map of the reality is probably the CIA Stargate stuff, which was declassified many years ago. But you can find it in Talbot's book and other books, and there's a lot of other people out there that have written about our holographic reality and how it works. But essentially, that's what I finally realized was going on. But in the meantime, I did become sidetracked by some of these people out there peddling these bullshit, but sounds good until you research it. So one of the things that the flat modelists out there have been peddling for so many years, including back a decade ago when I started looking into this, because I started wondering, hey, is this true? Am I living on a plate? I started looking into it, and then I quickly began to realize that, once you start doing my investigative method, looking at the totality of the information, not trying to prove a premise, but just following the trail where it goes and making sure that you don't use things like cognitive dissonance or other mental firewalls to stop you from looking at information. I became aware of these mental firewalls when I was researching the Bible. I had been so religiously indoctrinated by going through a Catholic school from kindergarten all the way to the end of high school that I was programmed, my subconscious was programmed to sabotage me at every turn. And when I was reading the Bible, I became aware, not the first time I read through the entire book, because, that's where I started, was trying to prove authentic Christianity, and that got quickly sidetracked, or derailed, I should say, once I began to realize that, no, this doesn't make any sense, not when you read the whole book and take it into context, and then, research the footnotes, the historicity, the books that were excluded. When you look at everything, it begins to fall apart. But I was shocked that I was actually filtering out information that I was plainly reading in plain English. And even though I have English comprehension ability, my mind was tricking me. I was my own trickster. And my willingness to deal with that, to deal with myself, is what freed me to open up and follow the trail and come to the reincarnation soul trap. Well, when you deal with these people that have entrenched programming and they don't want to change, there is absolutely nothing. The arguing is actually pointless. Trying to convince somebody with absolute proof is actually pointless. That's the ingenious, diabolical design of the human condition, is that proving a reality, a concrete absolute to somebody, doesn't work. It's absolutely amazing. So you see, the reincarnation soul trap doesn't really have anything to worry about. So 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, I started looking into this Antarctica thing. Well, if Antarctica is really the wall that surrounds the flat Earth concept, and there has to be certain things that are true. Well, one of the things I kept hearing is you can't travel there. There's no planes that fly over there, and you can't go there. It's not allowed, and all this other garbage. Well, I put up this video. Let me show you. I'm going to go back to color mode here. I'm going to actually focus in on the screen here. I'm going to go back to color mode. So here's my, here is my YouTube channel, and you'll see right here 9 years ago. And I have this video, travel to and over Antarctica, direct flights, sail, and ship travel book. And basically, I did this video where I was telling people that, not only can you go there, but I recommended that to all flat earthers, like, hey, you know what? Start a Kickstarter or something, and let me play a few seconds, see what happens, what part of the video. I'm not even sure what part I'm on here, but I made this like 9 years ago. I've seriously looked into this because it intrigued me in the beginning as I'm trying to figure all this stuff out for myself. So here's the video from yesterday, and I put it up last night. So it has 9 thumbs down now, 5 thumbs up. I don't really care about that. Most of these comments here are telling me, dude, I hate to break it to you, but the world is flat. Now, a lot of these models, they shape the earth like a plate. And I don't expect anybody who believes the earth is flat to believe me. Actually, I don't expect anybody really out there. Most people will not get stuff I'm trying to get out there on my channel. Maybe there's a few people out there that do, but I'm really starting to think that most people are not really interested in the truth. They're just interested in proving what they believe. So, you see, 10 years ago, I was already getting that you can't show somebody information. They don't really care about it. They just care about what program they're running in their mind, that's filtering through their physical brain. So, I, basically was saying, hey, start a Kickstarter, do something, go to Antarctica. On my website, overwatchproject.com, I have right on the homepage, and it's been there for 9-10 years or whatever. I have this section, Antarctica, how to travel there and go anywhere. And there's all kinds of links, and I just added some new links the other day because I don't know if you know this, that thing called the final experiment happened. So 10 years later, and it wasn't because I did it. It wasn't because that. Now, I'm sure none of these people even heard of my channel. But the fact is that it happened. A group of flat earthers went to Antarctica, and they found exactly what they weren't supposed to find based on their model of reality. So they call it the final experiment. Of course, here's the thing, and please, if you want the source material for everything I'm showing you, talking about, it is going to be in the description section. That's not the comment section of this video, but the description section of the video below. That's where it'll be. All the links to the YouTube videos I was just pointing to the channel, the final experiment, and you can go, and obviously it will take hours of your time, but again, this will only interest people that already understand this and that don't want to have their worldview shaken up. So I even started a playlist I called Antarctica Can't Fix Cognitive Dissonance. I might change that name, but that's what it is now. And they have their own website, thefinalexperiment.com, which I'm going to link to below in the description section of this video. Now, what's really wild is that this was the thing I came up with 10 years ago, and my thought was, if somebody goes down there and does basically what they did, I had some other ideas on some other things you could have done down there, but basically they did even beyond what I suggested, and they covered their bases every which way possible. And you know what happened? They have people that are flat earthers simply had the very common and very powerful cognitive filters kick in. Now, none of them actually want to know the truth. They just want to believe what they want to believe. And this is why the Matrix, the reincarnation soul trap here, has really nothing much to worry about, at most. Because, some of these flat earth channels, their subscriber numbers were like 200,000, 165,000 or whatever. I was looking at them, and everybody's mad at that one guy, Jared, or whatever his name is. His channel's Jarenism. It'll be linked below. This guy, his video was like 5 hours and 44 minutes. He analyzed everything, including all the criticism he's getting, and people are like, oh, it's the same thing with certain topics we're not allowed to discuss. Certain events happen, and occasionally one will happen, and I'm talking about these big deal events where it can affect political change in a country. It can get things banned. Many people get unalived. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, the orchestrators make genuine mistakes, and there's genuine questions, and it's a genuine investigation into what the hell just happened. And like, you could say that about Building 7, etc., certain other place that nobody's allowed to talk about. But then you have this Looney Tune thing that every event becomes it's fake. That didn't happen. This doesn't exist. None of that happens. There's no footage of that. You can't, I mean, I honestly, I understand that any agency like NASA is a government-tarred agency, and they have a lot of things that can't be trusted. But when space is fake, people start peddling stuff like they're not in a space station because they're actually in the vomit comet, and there's only so many minutes of footage because they can't, shoot footage any longer than those minutes. I used to watch videos like this, and it took me like 2 minutes, 3 minutes of research to disprove it. Where you have 30, 45 minutes of raw footage posted from the ISS, where they're going from one end to the other and showing you everything in between, every bathroom, the bathrooms, the galley, the equipment, everything, and it's unedited and it's one end to the other, and you can see what's going on. I'm not saying that the thing is that most people won't even get the concept of a holographic reality. We live in a holographic universe, meaning, and it's a very dense, very regulated reality with material rules. But matter itself is just a projection of consciousness. So it's just a very dense astral realm, you could say. When people pass over from here, they usually enter the earth astral, and they get caught up in there. And then, some good books to read, because he almost touches it. Let me go back to the screen here, is William Buhlman. William Buhlman is a great resource. His website is astralinfo.org. And he is a guy who's making a living at this. He's got a lot of books. He's got a lot of stuff going on. And I know I have a sense that he actually knows what's going on, but he packages it in an acceptable way with layers of bullshit cake so that it's acceptable or accepted by the masses. Otherwise, he'd be where I am, which is always under 14,000 subscribers and never getting anywhere. By the way, if you like the content on my channel or you find this stuff interesting, then please give a like to the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm seeing if telling people to do that actually has an effect. I'm not sure, but what the heck, it's worth try, right? So this is, if you never read any of his books, Adventures in the Afterlife is a very interesting read. It is actually a fictionalization of all the information that he's picked up over the years from out-of-body experiences and studying those from him and from other people and from near-death experiences. And, he has put together quite a neat little story there, and some of his other books are very useful. So, and I don't have any, this isn't like a commercial to sell his stuff, because I don't have any, connection to him. I don't do commercials or advertising or anything like that. So, but, I just wanted to put it out there. And I know this is going to, if there's any flat earthers on my channel, I've never dealt with the subject directly because I've avoided it. I just refer to this place as the Earth realm, which is a Barnum statement, which means that unless you kind of project what you want onto that, sometimes you talk to people. If you use Barnum statements, if you don't know what that is, just look it up. It's basically a statement where you say something and the person that hears what you're saying can simply project what they want into it. It's kind of like a way to say something without triggering people, which everybody gets triggered nowadays. As clearly has been demonstrated by this final experiment where they have gone off the deep end. I just can't believe somebody did what I thought of doing 10 years ago. That's somebody, I couldn't do it myself because I didn't have the money to do it. But I'm really wild that 10 years later, somebody went down there and performed the experiments and showed people stuff, and it didn't matter. It won't matter except for a tiny fraction of these people. A very tiny fraction will have their world blown up. And if you're one of these people that have had your worldview has just gone poof, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not a flat earther, please don't just latch on to the next thing. Don't even just latch on to what I'm telling you. Matter of fact, look, my website has a huge amount of resources. Also, I have an X account if you want to go there and sign that up. I have an Odyssey channel, BitChute, this section on freedom, which most people don't really understand what rights are. Might be able to give you a little bit of a primer on that. My links, which I started building a long time ago. Hopefully most, often not all of these links are still active. But these are all links to other websites with all kinds of resources of information. My book list, which is a tremendous library of books that you could read. And I have my Superpowers in Real Life research page, which I've been doing a series on. There's a playlist I have just dedicated to this because after all, why shouldn't we have superpowers? Why should we just be, we are more than human anyway, so why can't we just do that? And I'll be making another video about that soon. Also, if you want to buy me a coffee, you can buy me a coffee. Here's a link to that. I'm starting a new section for Cognitive Dissonance. I may rename it Mind Firewall or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, if I hope you get what I'm saying without being triggered, without getting angry, without posting all kinds of nasty comments. One of the things you should know is that I do not argue with people. I find I've learned over the years that arguing is pointless. It is a way for the system to make more loosh. Now, of course, I've gotten into arguments with people. As personal friends, when you get into disagreements, sometimes even heated arguments. But I realize that it's not going to get anywhere. I do it out of habit. But on my YouTube channel, in the comments section, if you're trying to invoke some kind of trolling or, it's pointless. I already know that, first of all, no minds are going to be changed in the comment section of anything. And I already know that arguing online about something is absolutely worthless. It's completely pointless. It is just a waste of time. It raises your blood pressure. It doesn't do anything good. So I don't participate in it. I don't argue with people online at all. So if this information it doesn't agree with you, I understand. You're not going to change your mind. I'm not going to change your mind because it's something that is not going to happen unless you want to do it yourself. It was me that freed myself from my own cognitive dissonance. Nobody else could have done it. There's no way that it was going to happen unless I wanted it to happen. So that's it. You're either determined to actually get to the truth and face your own discomfort and conquer your own trickster mind, or you're going to be stuck in whatever it is you believe in. And it doesn't matter, because when you pass over, you'll end up in the astral and probably back here for another turn. And you may have been here 1,000 times already. Who knows? And if this place gets reset, it'll just start over. There might be more than one Earth realm. There could be copies of the universe and with more Earths, different versions, different loosh farms. Who knows? You could end up there. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But that's all I have to say for today. So check out my website, overwatchproject.com. There it is. And if you do have any questions or positive comments, feel free to leave them below. Most of the time I get positive comments. However, this is a really tricky video. I may have overstepped with this one. All right, see y'all later. Bye.